Today on the show, we talk about interview videos, how to find people, and how to get them to open up on camera. Well, hey there, and welcome to the Ask Brady Show. Welcome, Roxanne. Welcome, Jonas. Welcome, viewer. Welcome, Pro Church Nation. We're here to answer your questions. Church communications, church media, digital media, online, and around the world. We officially have all of our new employees now here at Pro Church Tools, 3 hires in 3 weeks. We've grown by 50% in 1 month. And what has it led to? Messy desks.
It's true.
And it is driving me up the wall. I do not need any more stress in my life, Roxanne. And yet, all of the messy boys that work here feel the need to be messy.
It's true.
What can we teach them? A responsible OCD married man and a responsible woman who keeps things nice and neat. Well, how can we teach these boys to not destroy my soul?
You know what? It's like the people that they needed to put on like firecrackers, like don't hold in your hand when you set them off. This is how rules get invented.
Every disclaimer that you've ever seen is because of these boys.
For real, blame them.
All right, well, let's not dwell on the negative. No, I definitely dwell on the negative. So let's move on to the questions, and we'll answer some people's questions.
All right, question 1 comes from Instagram.
Dre's_media asks, how do you get church members to not act shy or get them comfortable with post-church interviews?
Post-church?
I think he's just asking, like, how do you get people comfortable with interviewing?
Okay,
about,
cool.
Like, experiences.
So one of the most powerful types of media that you can produce is a story video or a testimony video. We love to do these for baptisms, love to do them just to really highlight life change within the church. We've got a great course inside Pro Church Academy, well, 2 actually, where we document the entire process of creating a story video from the interview process to the editing, everything in between. A lot of churches struggle with finding people who are willing to share their story, firstly, and then secondly, people who are actually comfortable and can do it well. And we have a variety of different questions that we think are great ways to open people up. And I actually posted a couple of them this week on Instagram. One went live Tuesday. I think I've got another going live tomorrow. And so a lot of it comes down to your questions, but it also comes down to the expectations that you set before the interview begins. And you want this individual to know that all you're doing is having a conversation. And I'll also usually set the expectation of how long we're gonna do the interview for. I'll say, this is gonna be probably 60 minutes long. And what that does is it gives this person a long time to feel comfortable and to get used to, there are lights that are on me, there is a camera that's on me. And I'll just reiterate again and again, like all we're doing is having a conversation. Let's talk about some pro tips to making people comfortable. You want to have your video setup to be as minimal as possible, especially when it comes to the camera itself. We'll often bring one of our smaller cameras to the set, and we'll keep our audio gear, maybe on the floor, not attached to the camera, not to add any additional height or unwanted bulk. And we'll, obviously there's a boom mic that's gonna be hanging above someone, but what are they gonna be looking at the most? They're gonna be looking at the camera. And so if you can keep that camera small, it automatically will make things less scary. You have this giant camera and they'll feel like, oh, this is a high-end production. I've got to make sure I don't screw this up. So that's one way. Also, when it comes to the lights, we'll often only bring one light, or in the past, like here in the boardroom where we film Ask Brady, we have this big wall of windows right here. And often in a place like this, I'll go into someone's home and film the interview, and I won't use any lights at all. I'll bring some diffusers to shape the light how I want, but I'll just prop them right next to a big window, and now you don't have a bright light that's shining on their face. You may have also noticed something else I said there. I will always go and record a story, if possible, in a person's home. And it almost always is possible. Unless they're like ashamed of their home and they don't want you to see it and they don't want it to be in the video, I always say, let's go to your place. It's easier to set up a scheduled time, and they're automatically gonna feel more comfortable. If you set up a third-party location, or if you ask them to come to you, they're already walking into foreign territory, and now you're asking them to be vulnerable with a camera in their face. Like, there's a lot of variables here that are working against you. So I go to their home, I keep the setup small, and I use as few lights as possible. If I can use no lights at all, even better. There's this story we did with this guy named Aaron, and I didn't use any lights at all. I just set up a diffuser right next to a big window. I used a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, so a tiny little thing, and the mic was there, and we talked for 60 minutes. And eventually he got to the place where he was comfortable. One thing for you to expect is to know that at the very beginning, they're not going to be very comfortable. It's going to feel weird to them. So what you want to do is you want to front load the questions that you're going to be asking. Front load questions that are just, softball, easy to hit questions that are also not going to be very important for the story and the tape that you end up using. So I'll ask okay, great. So, what did you have for lunch today? And I'll ask, tell me about, why you moved to the area. Tell me about, your work. What's it like there? It's stuff that they're going to be able to answer easily, but also it's not getting into the emotional stuff. It's not getting into where we need you to be vulnerable. I saved that for the end. Let's talk about 2 questions that I love to ask that almost always deliver the most important tape in an interview. When I say tape, I just mean the stuff that we record. I'll get to the end of an interview. We'll be talking for 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes at this point, and I'll say, okay, look, what have I not asked you that you want to share? Because up until this point, I've been the one that's guiding the interview. I've been the one that's shaping and pointing the direction that we go into based on the questions that I ask. So I'll ask a question, the interviewee will give their answer, and then based on what they say, I'll be like, okay, I want to prod more on this. So I like to flip that on its head at the very end and say, okay, look, you take this where you want to take it. And often, because this is so open-ended, they'll just begin sharing parts of the story that you never hit on. And because you don't know this person maybe very well, because you are not them either way, they know so much more about their story than you do. And so letting them set the direction at the end is super helpful. Here's the other secret question that I love to use, and that is, how do you see yourself? This is such an introspective question that you want to save it for near the end of the interview. But I have yet to ask this question and not get an amazing response. Because it's not something that a person thinks about on a day-to-day basis, at least consciously, and it's so introspective that it forces them to talk about, okay, honestly, what do I like about myself? What do I not like about myself? Where am I? Where do I want to be? And how big is that gap? And these are things that they start thinking about, and they give great responses. So there's plenty of great tips in there. If you are a member of Pro Church Academy, listener, or Drizzy_media, whatever the name was on Instagram, you can watch both of those courses that we have in there where we walk you through the entire process. We've got I think 5, 7, 10 questions, whatever it is, that I always ask on an interview. I can't think of them right now. That course was done more than a year ago, but those were 2 that are definitely on that list and are super helpful. Record in someone's home, keep the gear small, lighting, keep it minimal, if at all, and you'll be able to get people comfortable. Final thing, which maybe I missed on this question, that's when you actually get someone into the interview. What if you're like, I can never find people that are willing to do it? This is not one of those things where you want to do an announcement from stage or you send it an email. You want to rely on your existing relationships to get people to do a story video. Every story video that I've done, I've asked a person face to face because it's so easy to get that email or see that announcement and be like, well, that's not me. No one is going to hear hear an announcement saying, we want to tell your story, and be like, my story is important. People need to hear this.
Or the people that do are the ones you're not so sure you actually want to show from stage. So
you've got to ask people face to face. Don't rely on digital or impersonal, indirect communication methods to yield people that are ready to tell their story. Leverage your existing relationships.
Yeah, that's good. All right, the next question is from Bob.
Bob asks, I am the worship leader, I am the discipleship director, I am the outreach director, I am the communications director, so the question really becomes division of time, because I'm one person with a finite amount of time. My pastor and I have fundamental disagreement about how I should spend that time. He believes I should spend more of my time cultivating small groups rather than working on social media, website, videos, etc., communication stuff. To me, the proof is in the numbers. We will reach people through the web, social media, and especially video at a far greater rate than we can by any other means. He is, in my opinion, still living in the 1996 model of door-to-door and personally touching every single person before they ever walk in the door, even though I'm actually older than he is. I'm not neglecting small groups. Rather, I'm trying to build an infrastructure where they can run on their own without me having to make a phone call every time somebody misses 2 meetings in a row. Wondering what you think. Am I out to lunch on this? And if not, what can I say to my pastor to help him understand?
So obviously, what's this guy's name?
Bob.
Bob and his pastor, as he said in his words, have a fundamental disagreement or a fundamental gap between what Bob believes and what his pastor believes. And when you have a fundamental disagreement, if you have a fundamental different set of beliefs, what you need to do first is find common ground. And then once you're both on the same page there, figure out how do we bridge the gap between our common ground and our uncommon ground. And so when we want to find common ground, what we always need to go back to is the church's vision. You're both serving and working at this church for a reason. You believe in the mission and the vision of the church. And so what you want to do, Bob, is take your pastor and be like, okay, look, this is our vision statement. This is what we're both trying to accomplish. So all we have is a difference in belief on how the best way to accomplish this is. That sounds simple, but what your pastor probably thinks is that he cares about people, he cares about relationship, and all you care about is the internet and making cool graphics and fancy videos and the social media stuff. He doesn't recognize that what you're trying to accomplish is exactly rooted in the same thing he's trying to accomplish. And the great thing is that both of those can work. The thing that I will also say about your response is that you said, we will reach more people by doing things online. And the word that stuck out to me is that once my pastor allows me to do this, we will be able to do and show that it's a good idea, which means that if you haven't done it already, your pastor has no reason to believe that it can be done. And we've talked about this before. Just the reality of working in a church right now is so insanely difficult. The problem with this question is that Bob is like serving in 8 different roles, and his pastor's like, do all of these the way I want them to. So you're already doing way more than you should, and you're probably not skilled to do all of these things, and your pastor's trying to micromanage you because he doesn't really trust you because he is doing too many things right now, and maybe leadership isn't his strong point. Maybe he's a better communicator. Maybe he's a better vision caster, but he's not great at managing people. And both of you are probably like in this reality that's tough, but you care so much about people and bringing hope into their lives, and so it's worth it, but it's tough. And that's not to mention the age disconnect, the average lead pastor being 50 plus, and the average person in your community being less than 30, and there's a huge gap there. And so there's all these problems that are just naturally gonna come up. And so we've given this response several times. I'm gonna continue to give it because it's probably gonna be the most common question that we have. How do we deal with leadership that just doesn't seem to be on the same page? Okay, find the common ground and then bridge the gap between that which is common and that which is uncommon. And I'll go back to when you said we will do these things. What you need to do is you need to get your pastor to buy into a single project. So get that common ground, talk about getting from the common to the uncommon ground, talk about how, look, we're both trying to accomplish the same thing. We just kind of believe accomplishing it is a bit different. You can bring some data into the discussion if you want. You can bring some case studies from other places. But until you are able to prove in your own context that it works, you're probably going to have difficulty getting your pastor to give you that free rein. So what you need to do is get your pastor to sign off on a single project. Tie that single project to the common goal that you have, the vision and mission of the church. Be like, look, we are going to, for instance, do a Facebook ads campaign. And that Facebook ads campaign is going to cost this much, and it's going to allow us to link to the vision statement. Your pastor signs off on this, and here's where you really need to prove that what you've been talking about actually can be put into practice. It's not just blowing hot air. This is real stuff that can make a big and very real difference. And then it's just about the simple, equity game where you prove that it works, you get a bit more equity with your pastor, now you can withdraw more, right? It's the deposit and withdraw. Deposit, withdraw. Right now, you can't really withdraw anything because you have very little that you've deposited. You need to get that common ground, have a discussion, build some trust. That's the deposit. It's still very a little bit, but you can withdraw a little bit now. You prove that what you're trying to do works. Now you deposit a bunch, you're able to withdraw more next time. You do this over weeks and months and years, and now you've got tons of trust, and you're able to withdraw however much that you need. The word withdraw, I have trouble with.
Saying it or?
No, saying it. Okay, withdraw is fine, but the act of withdrawal.
Oh yeah, that's
I always want to say withdrawal, but that just sounds funny. How do you say it?
I say withdrawal.
Oh, so you don't even add the extra consonant. What's it? No, not consonant, syllable. You just say withdrawal.
Yeah, like you're speaking with a southern drawl.
Sounds with dumb saying it like that.
Not that I've really said it that much. When am I going to use that word?
Okay, people that are watching this, Pro Church Nation, let us know in the comments below. How do you pronounce withdrawal? Do you say it withdraw? 3 syllables or 2? Are you withdrawal or withdrawal? All right? Are you 3 syllables or 2? Are you Brady? Are you Roxanne? Let us know in the comments below.
Vote for me.
It's not a vote.
I want to win.
Goodness. Next question.
Question 3 comes from Cody.
Cody asks, the question I wanted to ask is this. The children's director of the church is wanting to make a style guide for the children's ministry. So would that be a good idea? I've learned that the church has a vision and that all the ministries in the church should fall under that. There shouldn't be an array of things going on because it just wouldn't look good. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so Cody, I think it sounds like your church already has the infrastructure and hierarchy that it should, and that is that you want to have a branded house, not a house of brands. Meaning your church has a brand. You are not a church or an organization with a bunch of brands in it. You are not J.E. Johnson, a family company, S.E. Johnson, a family company, J.J. Johnson, a family company, Joe Johnson, a family company.
I don't know, but that was really good. You should just say that branded house part again.
Okay,
because that was
I'll do that. Branded house, not a house of brands. Very easy to remember when you say it that way. S.E. Johnson, a family company.
S.E. Johnson.
You are not them with a billion different home and decor and food products. You are your church. And the way that we've always distinguished it is that if you want to have a separate brand within your ministry, that ministry needs to have their own worship service, right? So if the young adults have their own worship service, and it has to be on a different day, we've talked about this before. If your young adults have a worship service every Monday night, you know what? Then they can have their own name and their own brand. They're basically their own thing. Now, I wouldn't do that, but that's where we kind of like set the breaking line. Like if you really want to do it, you got to qualify. You got to be this tall to ride the roller coaster. That's what you have to do, the qualifications that need to be met before you do that. Children's ministry don't have that. Children's ministry happens during the Sunday service. So the way that you should do it is the way that the churches we work with do it. Engage church, engage kids. Central church, central kids. First Baptist church, First Baptist kids. Very simple. You don't want to complicate things. And it's so great, Cody, that you put together this style guide. This style guide should be the exact same as the style guide for the kids ministry. Maybe they have a different emphasis color. Like if you're a church that has like 2 colors, let's say you're orange and purple, maybe the kids one emphasizes the purple a bit more, but it's still the same logo, it's still the same fonts, it's still the same everything. You are a branded house, not a house of brands. Simple as that.
Also, just don't make your colors orange and purple. That's a bad combination.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of when anything would be orange and purple.
I don't know. Maybe it's
FedEx?
school.
FedEx is orange and purple. Yeah. FedEx.
Really?
Yeah, FedEx Ground or FedEx Air. One of them is orange and purple, and then they also have green and purple. FedEx thinks you're wrong.
I don't know about that. I think they're wrong, but okay.
You're just gonna go at FedEx like that? They brought us new iMacs today.
That's true. Fine, FedEx, you can do your own thing. Okay, so the last question comes from Tyrone, and he actually sent in a video, so.
Tyrone, yeah, video! More video questions, people.
Hey Brady, got a quick question for Ask Brady. What is the standard time for a Facebook Live session? If I want to put my pastor on there, should it be 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes? What's the best time length?
Okay, so this was a question that I used to ask myself pretty much when it came to any form of medium. How long should a blog post be? How long should a video be? How long should this podcast be? How long should Ask Brady be? The answer is, and this is not a satisfying answer, as long as it needs to be. That's what I've always been told, which of course is not satisfying. It makes you go, that's not helpful. Give me something actionable. So what I'll say is this. You want it to be as long as it can be before the quality begins to suffer. So if you can only do 3 minutes before your pastor starts to kind of just like ramble and the good stuff disappears, then you probably shouldn't be longer than 3 minutes. If your pastor's sweet spot is 10, go 10. If it's 15, go 15. The great thing about Facebook Live is that a lot of the times, the longer it is, the better it performs. And length at this point isn't something that I really even consider. I mean, do you ever watch Facebook Lives, anything like that?
Never watched a Facebook.
Yeah, I don't watch them too often either. What I'll say is this, and that's nothing against Facebook Live. I don't really watch YouTube videos. I'm not really a huge video, but you do love watching videos. Like
I've
you watch
watched
some YouTube.
I've watched Instagram stories live, but I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. So that's why I don't think
Right.
I've ever watched one, is because I'm never on it to like get the notification when it's happening.
Do you watch? But you watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
What's the average length there? You find?
For the ones that I like watching, they probably 10 minutes is tops.
Yeah, like 3 to 10.
Yeah, because when I'm looking at my time schedule, I'm like, I've got a half hour to watch
Yeah.
videos. If you're gonna take up my whole half hour, I don't want to watch your video. Like I can watch 4 other videos in that time period.
Here's an important disclaimer, Tyrone. Facebook Live is so new, and everyone's figuring it out right now, that right now it does not exist an accepted or preferred time. It's basically, what are you doing that works? And the great thing about Facebook Live is you can see the spikes in the analytics that it gives you, right? So if you see like 3 minutes is great and then a big drop off, and you see that consistently, don't just look at a single video's analytics, then that's gonna tell you, your audience is telling you how long it should be. Here's what I would recommend: 3 to 10 minutes. Don't go any shorter than 3. Don't feel like you need to go any longer than 10. Do that for a month and then look at the analytics. And if you see a trend that shows after 7 minutes we see a drop off consistently, then shorten it to 7. If you don't see a drop at all and you want to go longer, feel like you can go longer. But I would say 3 to 10, experiment within there. Do it for a month. Get multiple videos to test and look and analyze the analytics, and then make a decision from there if you need to change it. But I think 3 to 10 would be pretty sweet. With that being said, if you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I keep it 10 minutes? How do I keep my pastor interesting? Okay, maybe he's or she's good at 3, but I can't even get to 10. Do what we do with Ask Brady. Do what we do with the Pro Church podcast. Have segments. So with Ask Brady, we always have 4 questions. And we know that about 4 questions can get us to the 20 to 30 minute mark, which is where we aim to hit with each of these episodes. On the Pro Church podcast, we aim for about 45 to 60 minutes. And so the way that I do that is that I have a 40-minute conversation with the guest. I do a segment at the beginning where I talk about a pro tip or a practical tool that you can begin using. That's about 5 minutes. We read a review afterwards. That's about 5 minutes. We do a little bit of an intro. That's a couple of minutes. And we add all that together and we get close to, in between the 45 and 60 minute range every single time. And so if you're worried about having a time that's like, sometimes we do this long, sometimes we do this long, and you want to have it consistent because you'll need consistency in time to get solid and reliable analytics, what you can do is you can kind of put together a little bit of a, show order and be like, okay, we're going to do this, an intro, we want that to be a minute, and then we're going to do like questions at the end, and that'll be 5 minutes, and we'll do our main content in the middle, and that's like 10 minutes. When I look over at you and you're just smirking, I don't like it.
It was just conveniently enough a FedEx truck just drove by. It's driving by again. And it is purple and orange.
Purple and orange!
You're right.
Roasted. Boom! Hopefully that answers your question, Tyrone. I think you got it where I was going there. I'm just going to gloat now in the awesomeness that is... Okay, well, let's ask this. What did you think of that? Well, yes!
My problem is I don't like orange as a color.
So you're just biased.
I am biased against orange.
Discriminating against orange.
Sorry, everyone. That has
Goldfish
orange.
Crackers. They're not happy with you.
Well,
Tony the
they
Tiger
are,
rejects
they're the snack that smiles back. Actually.
No, at you they frown back.
They frown back.
They're the snack that frowns back at Roxanne. They can just tell. You pick it up and they're like, this lady hates our color. You discriminate against the orange fishies. How dare you? Pro Church Tools. We do not discriminate. Well, I don't.
Against
Roxanne
snacks.
does. The snack that frowns back, but only at Roxanne. Woo! Alrighty.
So sad.
If you have a question that you'd like answered, send in a video. You'll get pushed to the top of the queue, just like Tyrone. You can send that to Facebook or YouTube with the hashtag AskBrady in the comments below. On Twitter and Instagram, hashtag AskBrady. If you're thinking, how am I going to do the video? Just do what Tyrone did. Use your phone. I love it. More video questions from Pro Church Nation. I want to get like 1 video question on every single show. I've been disappointed with the fact that we've only had like 2 in the last month. We're like at every other show right now. I want a video question every single show. So step it up, Pro Church Nation. You got a question, we'll put you to the top of the queue. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back again next week. A new episode every single Friday. Love you, Pro Church Nation. Seize the 167. Peace.
Question 1 comes from Instagram, and he asks, how do you get church members to not act shy or get them comfortable with post-church interviews?
His name is Instagram?
No, he just has like a username. It's Drez_media. Or Dre's, maybe?
Drake?
No.
Drizzy.
Drizzy? Dreezy.
Dreezy.
Drazy?
_media.
Druzy. Droopy. Snoozy. Noomy.
Are we making up like new dwarf names? Like what is happening?
Clumpy Media. What was the question?